spring break junior year in college, I went to Poland. Yeah, that was as much fun as it sounds, but it's okay. It was my decision. The opportunity came up to go with a bunch of other students and a couple of our rabbis to go to Poland to see all the concentration camps and a lot of places from World War II. I just had to go. I couldn't go to Cancun. I just had to go to Poland for this. My grandfather was a Holocaust survivor, and he's my biggest hero. His story, not just mine, it's my whole family. His whole story and what he went through and how he dealt with it is the biggest inspiration that anybody in my family has, and it's just amazing. The fact that he was 16 when the war started, everybody in his family got killed, his brother and his dad got shot pretty much almost in front of him. He only had one brother that survived, and in spite of everything that he went through, he moved to a different continent, learned a new language, started a business, became a great dad, a wonderful husband, a loving grandfather, and it was just amazing. And that, you know, after all he went through, he was able to still have a smile every single day that he saw me. So for me, when I have a bad day, when my girlfriend breaks up with me, I can't complain. I just think of him and everything that he went through, and it's just like, everything's vanilla compared to that. So I just had to go and see where he came from. So I went there, and when we got there, we got the schedule of what we were going to do. And I think it was like the third day or something, we were going to stop by this little town called Krasnik, which is right outside of Lublin, one of the main cities. And that's where my grandfather was born. We were not visiting anything interesting there, but I just wanted to go there. I was the first person in my family to go back to Poland, and I wanted to have that connection. Part of the reason why I wanted to go on this trip was because I was young when my grandfather was still around, and the last years that he was alive, he had Alzheimer's, so I didn't really get to talk to him and learn his story, be like, you know, have a lesson one-on-one, something that was mine from him that he only told me, a lesson that he only told me. I didn't have that from him. I learned a lot of things about him when I was around him, but I didn't have that one thing that connected me and him. So I wanted to go there, and I was hoping that in this town I was going to find something that reminded me of him, that was going to make that connection. I didn't know what to expect. I was like, to a point I just wanted to walk into a gift shop and just get something that says that Krasnik, you know, maybe that. But the day that we were supposed to go, we spent a lot of time before going there on this yeshiva, which is a rabbinical school. It was this famous rabbinical school in Lublin, and it was like the Harvard there in those times. So we spent a lot of time there. We studied Torah, and we spent way too much time there. So we had to skip Krasnik. The only thing in the whole trip that we didn't do that. So I was a little disappointed that I didn't have that one thing that was going to connect me to my grandfather. It was and we just didn't do it. The only thing in the whole trip. So I came back with a lot of questions on why didn't that happen. I didn't get that sign. I didn't get that deep connection that I was kind of hoping for the whole trip. So when I was back, I was telling the story to my family about how the trip went and this and that. And I tell my uncle that we didn't make it to Krasnik because we had spent too much time in the yeshiva in Lublin. And he's like, what yeshiva was that? And I'm like, oh, you know, the big famous one in Lublin. He's like, that's where your grandfather was studying when the war started. And then everything just froze. All the questions in my head just became answers, and then I realized that I had studied Torah where my grandfather had studied Torah. That instead of seeing the dead town of Krasnik that has nothing left of my family, I don't know even the street name of where his house was, but I was able to study what he wanted to do, what he was, the person he was before the war, and I was the only one to do that in my family. So I don't know how he did it, but he made the whole trip worth it. So that's my story.